It's the decisions that you make. See, you are who you are and where you are in your life right now because of the choices you have made up to this point. And you will be who you will be and go where you will go later in life because of the choices that you make moving forward. But realize that the most important decision that you have and will make in your life is the one when you're going through those tough moments. How you react to that challenge, the adversity you may be going through, how you react to that struggle you may be facing. Your parents, they get a divorce, and that really affects you emotionally. It really hits home. How you react to that, or maybe how you react to a loved one or someone you really care about who's maybe gotten sick, gotten ill, or it can be something that's happened to you, maybe physically, or you're going through some anxiety, some depression, just a ton of stress. Whatever that is, whatever that hard moment you're going through is, realize how you react to that is so important. I mean, if you think about it though, you're not alone. You're not, because everybody in their life goes through these tough moments. And how they react determines the road that they take in life. Your parents, they've gone through these tough moments and have had to make these decisions. I have, your teachers have. It's a part of life. It is. And just know that all it takes, though, is that one time. That one time you make that one decision that just flips your life upside down. And in the moment, when you've made that choice, you have no idea the road you started going down. It may take weeks, it may take months, years for that consequence to come about. See, when you're making that choice, you have a fork in the road. You make one decision, you go this way. You make another one, you go that way. And what they don't realize, what they don't know, is that when you're making that tough choice in that moment, you have control. You do. Not a lot of people know how to gain that control when you make this choice. So this afternoon, you are going to hear 3 keys that you need to know when you are in these hard times, when you're struggling, making this tough decision, so that you can gain control of the choice that you make and you can live the life that you want. Now, let me ask you this. How do you think it would end if you were going through that hard time, whatever it is, whatever that struggle you're going through? How do you think it would end if you made an impulsive, emotional decision? Think about that for a sec. Not good, right? You ever been asked, what were you thinking when you did that? And you say, I wasn't. I just acted. That is an impulsive emotional choice. When you just act on your emotions, the feelings that you have, and you don't think. This is how people get in trouble in life. This is how people go down that road that nobody wants to go down. And right now, you're going to hear how making that type of decision affected my younger brother, Brendan, the road it took him down. See, my younger brother, Brendan, growing up, he suffered horribly from social anxiety because he has this little bald spot in his head. And because of that, he's so concerned. He's so afraid of the judgments others would put on him. He's always thinking, well, what are they going to say about me if they know about my spot? What are the names they're going to call me? How are they going to react? They're going to laugh at me? They're going to point at me? What will they think about me? And so because of this, because he's so concerned, afraid about others' judgments on him, well, he does everything he can to cover that spot up. And he would spend hours, think about this for a sec, hours in front of that mirror, combing over that spot so no one could see it. He would wear hats in class to cover that spot up. But this still didn't help him. He was still going through such a tough time. And eventually he gets multiple surgeries on that spot to fix it. So at this point, that's why it's so small, no one can even notice it. But Brendan's still carrying all this weight. He still has all this pressure. He's being affected by this so much now, still, even after those surgeries, to the point to when he looks in the mirror, he doesn't love the person he sees. To when he looks in the mirror, he doesn't accept the person he sees. And he has no idea what to do. He has no idea how to deal with this, how to get through this. So what choice does he make? Well, it's a Saturday night. He's down at parents' basement. He's going through the refrigerator, and all of a sudden, he sees a few bears in the refrigerator, and he just grabs one. And then another one. And then another. To the point now where all of a sudden, Brendan, he feels much better about himself. He doesn't have those negative thoughts he had before. His self-esteem isn't to the floor anymore. He's real confident. He doesn't care about what others think about him. He's thinking, yep, this is exactly what I needed. I feel so much better. This is what I need to get through this struggle. Having no idea what that one choice he just made would do to the rest of his life. Because eventually those bears that he's messing around with, that turns into him thinking, I'm going to start smoking. I'm going to start making that choice to get through what I'm going through. It's much better. It's a much better alternative. And then he starts making the choice to mess around with the Percocets, the Oxycontins, the pills. And then by Brendan's senior year of high school, he starts shooting heroin. And 2 weeks from today, 5 years ago, Brendan passed away from a heroin overdose. And how did this all start? Where, when? This all started in that basement, making that one decision to start drinking those beers to try and get through the struggle he's going through. Now, you just heard how making an impulsive, how acting on your emotions, your feelings, what this can lead to, the road it could take you down. Now, you're going to hear how when you're going through that struggle, when you have those feelings, when you have those emotions, and they just feel like they're taking over and you want to act like my brother did, now you're going to hear how to actually gain control and make that choice that you want in life. See, it all started on a Thursday night. I'm slipping under my comforters. I'm going to bed. And all of a sudden I get a call. I don't know who the person is on my phone, the caller ID. I don't know who it is, so I pick it up. Hello? Hi, is this Eric? Yeah, this is Eric. Hi, it's John from the Providence Rhode Island Hospital. We have your brother here. He's overdosed. You need to get here immediately. Okay, well, what are you trying to tell me? I'm telling you, you need to get here immediately now. Okay, doc, but what are you trying to tell me? Are you telling me he's not going to make it? Eric, there's probably about an 80% chance he won't. So I hang that phone up, I run to my car, and I drive there as fast as I can. As soon as I walk to those emergency doors, I look to the right, and there he is. He's just laying on that hospital bed with tubes going down his throat. He's hooked up to machines that are helping him to breathe. I walk in that room and fall to my knees because I was crushed, so upset, so hurt, devastated. And a few weeks later, we would bury him. And then I would actually find out how Brendan passed away. And it goes like this. He's in a parking lot with a bunch of kids in a car. They're all making the same choice to get high. And all of a sudden, Brendan starts overdosing. And the kids in that car, they're thinking to themselves, well, what are we supposed to do? If we take him to the hospital, we're going to get in trouble. What do? So they open up that back car door. They take his body and they throw him in a parking lot. They shut the door and they speed off. Eventually, an ambulance comes and gets him and takes him to the hospital. Now, when I heard this, you can imagine the emotions, the feelings that were in my body. I was so pissed. I was so mad. I was so enraged. And my first reaction was, oh, we need to do something about this. We need to find these kids. This isn't fair. We've got to do something about this right now. We can't just let this go. What are we going to do? And that right there was my emotions, was my feelings taking over, trying to make me make that choice to go do something right now. And so the first key I want to talk to you about is when you feel these emotions, when you're in this moment and you have to make this choice, take a step back. Take a step back and breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Take a few breaths. What this does is it's going to relax you. It's going to give you a sense of calmness. All those feelings that you have, those emotions, those thoughts that are running up in here, it slows them down. It relaxes them. And what this does now is now you're not clouded with those thoughts, with those emotions. You're able to think clearly. You're aware of the choice you're about to make. Essentially, you're on high alert. You're conscious now of that choice. And the second key I want to talk to you about is after you breathe, you relax, and you slow everything down. Ask yourself these 4 questions about that choice that you're thinking that you're about to make. Number 1, what are the risks involved right now? If I make this choice right now, what are the risks involved that can affect me now? And what are the risks involved later in life? And so I asked myself this question. And I said, well, if I go out and I act on that emotion that just came out of me, I could end up in trouble with the law. I could end up hurt. Nothing good's going to happen from this. Nothing. The second question you want to ask yourself is, does making this decision, does it align with your values? Does it align with your beliefs in life? Essentially, is this going to take you down the road that you want to become the person that you want in your life, who you see yourself being? Is it going to be? And I said to myself, no, it's not. The third question is, we all have goals in life, right? Whether it's a sport goal, whether it's maybe a college you want to get into, whether it's your grades, a career down the line, whatever it is, we all have goals. So making this choice right now, is this going to get me that much closer to my goals? Or is this actually going to get me further away from my goals? And then the fourth and final question you need to ask yourself, which I believe is the most important, is why? Why would you make this decision? What is the reason? And when you ask yourself this question, really think about the answer that comes up right away. See, because for me, I was just like, I want revenge. It's not fair. It's not fair. And when I actually thought about that, that's just not a good enough answer. It's not. And so I didn't act. After I asked myself those questions and I thought about it, I said, it's just not worth it. Like, why would you make that choice? Is it because others are doing the same because you want others to like you? Or are you doing it for you? Are you doing it because it's going to bring value to your life? If it is, take action on it. If it's not, if it's going to take from you, then don't. It's not worth it. And you may be saying to yourself right now, okay, Eric, but what if I'm in a situation where I have to make a split-second decision? A quick choice. What do I do? Well, you do the exact same thing. You take that step back, you breathe, you relax everything, you calm it down, and you think about those questions for a sec. Because look, the decisions we're talking about today, they are so important. They're life-changing. As you heard at the beginning, you make one choice, you can go down this road. You make another one, you can go down that road. So you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your future self to take that step back, even if it's a split-second decision, to ask yourself those questions, to relax so you can think clearly. Give yourself that time and that space. And the third and final key that you need to know when making these tough decisions in these moments is, don't let the choices you've made in the past affect the decisions you're making now. Look, don't beat yourself up for the choices in the past. I'm sure everybody, no doubt in my mind, everybody watching this right now can think back on a decision they've made and they can say, I wish I didn't make that. I'd love to have that back. But you can't. It's in the past. And if you continue to judge yourself, if you continue to think about the choices you've made in the past, then you're going to be stuck in the past and you're not going to be able to move forward. So think about those decisions you've made in the past that you would like to have back. Think about the scenario and think, could you have maybe thought about it differently? Could you have said something differently? Could you have came at it from a different angle? What could you have done different in that moment? And take that with you. Let it go, and take it with you. Because you're only holding yourself back right now if you're living in the past with the choices you've made. And a perfect example of this is Jimmy. See, Jimmy, throughout this whole pandemic, like so many others in the world, he was suffering a lot. And he was going through a lot of anxiety. He had some depression, a ton of stress, and having no idea what to do, how to deal with what he's going through. Well, he starts making the exact choices my brother did. And so over time, Jimmy starts asking himself a few of those questions we just went over. He said, now that I think about it, the choices I'm making right now, do they align with my beliefs? No, they don't. The choices I'm making, are they getting me that much closer or further from my goals? Further, he thought. Are they going to get me to be the person I want? No. And so he makes a different choice, one that he's never made. Reaches in his pocket, he pulls out his phone, and he texts his buddy Pete, and he says, Pete, I'm not doing so good, man. We need to meet up. We need to talk. And so their cars, they meet up in a hockey rink parking lot, cars side by side. And they talk about this for hours. They talk about the choices he's been making. They talk about why he's making the choices he is. And Jimmy realizes what he has to do after talking to Pete, having this conversation. He's got to go approach his parents. He's got to ask them for help and let them know what he's been going through. And this is tough. It's not easy. And it's super important you understand that healthy decision in the moment, that choice that's going to get you that much closer to your goals, that aligns with your beliefs, it's not always going to be the easy one. Understand that. It's not always going to be the easy choice. The easy choice can be the one that takes you further from your goals, brings you down the wrong path. I mean, Jimmy could have just kept making these choices, right? And it would have been easier for him to just keep doing that. But he realized See, he realized what making a different decision, how it could affect his life, what it could do. And so he went through with this. So nervous, so afraid, concerned of the judgments his parents would have on him. He approached them and he talked to them. And he asked them for the help that he needed. And because he did that, well, he hasn't made any of those decisions that he was for 7 months. It's been 7 months. And what Jimmy realized, and what I want you to realize, is that if you're going down a path you don't want to go down, you're going down this path, but you want to go down this path, well, you just start making different choices, decisions, and you'll start heading this way. And you can go down that path eventually. That's all it takes, is just making different decisions in your life. Don't beat yourself up for the ones you've made in the past. See, at the beginning, when Jimmy was making these choices, that's what he was doing. He's thinking to himself, well, I've been making these decisions. I'm going down this road. I'll never be able to change. I'll never be able to go down that other road. But he realized that it just took him making different choices to go down that other road. Look, you want a different tomorrow? You don't like where you are? You want a different tomorrow? Then you make different decisions today. That's what it takes to change the path you're going down. Anybody, everybody can do it. Now, here's the great thing about decision making that not a lot of people know, is that it's a skill. Decision making is a skill. Just like bouncing a basketball, playing the drums, drawing is a skill. So if I practice, let's take the analogy of the basketball player. If I practice dribbling the ball, if I practice shooting, the more and more hours I put in, the more and more confident I become with it. And it's the same thing with decision making. And so you may be saying, well, how do I put in more hours with decision making? The choices that you make on an everyday basis. It may not be at the magnitude of that decision that you make in that moment. It may not have the effect on your life. But it's the same thing when that guy's in the gym and he's just shooting the ball. He's practicing the dribbling. It doesn't have the magnitude yet of that big shot. Because when that big game comes and he gets the ball in the corner and he's got the shot, oh, he's taking it. He's taking it because he's got the confidence that he's going to make it because he's put in all those hours on practicing the dribbling and the shooting. And so it's the same thing with decisions that you make. You're on that high alert. You ask yourself the questions. You practice this throughout the day with the choices that you make in your life. Then eventually, when that moment comes and you're in that tough situation and you have to make that critical choice, well, you've practiced. You've got the confidence to make that choice that's going to bring you down that road that you want. So don't forget those 3 keys that you need to know when you're going through this tough time and you have to make that choice. 1, breathe, right? In through the nose, out through the mouth. Do that a few times, and then it's going to clear your head. You're going to be able to think better. You're not going to have that clouded judgment and just act. And then remember those 4 questions. Number 1 is making this decision now. What are the risks involved now? What are the risks going to be involved later in my life? How is it going to negatively affect me? Number 2 is making this decision. Does it align with my goals in life? Is it going to get me that much closer? Or am I going to come backwards? Number 3, does it align with my values? Does it align with my beliefs when I'm really about to do? And then the 4th and most important, why? Why would you make that decision? What's the reason? And then remember the 3rd key, Don't let the choices you've made in the past affect you now. Leave them in the past. Take the learning lesson from them, what you could have did better, and move on. Look, we all face tough times in our life, as you heard. It's a part of life. You can't run from these hard times. You can't avoid some of them, and you're going to have to face them. And when you do, when you have to make that choice on how to react to that thing that you are going through, if you follow these 3 keys, if you use these tools to your advantage, then you will go down that road that you want. You will live that life that you deserve. Thank you. Thank you, Charlotte.
Well, so there's no
Awesome. Appreciate it, Missy. Thank you. It's just, it's to kind of just go a little deeper. It's everybody, when they are going through this hard time, it's a natural reaction in the body to have emotions come up to the surface and want to make you act. But it's using tools like this to slow them down that are going to help you with your choices, with the decisions that you make. So everybody goes through this. And as I said, I'm 100% confident everybody on this webinar right now can think of a time in their life where they had wished they hadn't acted on their emotions. It happens to everybody. But as I said, it's a skill. And if you just use these 3 things with decisions that you make throughout your day, then you're going to become better at it. Just like anything in life, the more and more you practice it, the better and better you become at it. It's a great question. What can you say to somebody when they are in the stage of revenge? I would say this. I would say, because as you heard, I wanted revenge. But you really need to think. I think the important question that I talked about before is the why, right? Is it really, was getting revenge, was that gonna bring my brother back? Well, ultimately think about this. What is it going to do to the situation? And whatever you want to get revenge on. Because that word revenge, it rarely ends good. Because when people act on revenge, they're acting on their emotions. If they were to take that step back to think about the questions, then they would realize that this isn't going to have a positive impact on my life. So I would ask that question to really think about the why. Why do I really want to make this choice? And then think about that answer, right? As I said, it's important you really think about it. If it's about revenge, like I had, it doesn't do any good. It doesn't add any positive to the situation. You're welcome. Anybody else with any questions at all about anything? Do you have, if you want to send my email out too, I can shoot you my email.
Yep.
And if they have any questions, they can always just email me with anything that they have, if they want to ask me anything.
Yep. There's a couple more here. I don't know if you can see them, but do you have
I might not.
advice on how to encourage your friends to think about the choices they make?
I would say to them that first question, right? what are a lot of times people make choices. So let's, when we're in, a lot of times when we're in high school, when we're in middle school, we're not really thinking ahead, right? So essentially, it's important that we think about, and this may be hard to do, but what could this lead to? Think about what could this choice lead to? Like, what is the road you could go down? How could this affect you later in your life? The negativity of it. Think about the how your choices, the decisions that they're making. Ask them the real reason why they're making these choices. Because a lot of times when you peel back the layer of the choices that they're making, there's a deeper meaning. There's a deeper meaning as to why they're doing it. I mean, my brother's meaning was that he was feeling a certain way and he didn't want to feel that way anymore. It wasn't because my brother didn't want to go down this road. Nobody does. But he was making those choices because he was just going through this thing. He was suffering through it so much. So it's really important that you ask them that fourth question of the why and really get to the root of it. But also just talk to them about what it could lead to. The path that they could be heading down. As you heard, you may make a choice today, but it may take weeks, months, years for that consequence, that ultimate consequence to happen. Awesome. Thank you for the website and email. Appreciate it. Are there any other questions?
There's a question here, just talking about the Good Samaritan Law. So
Yep.
do you have anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, that is basically if you are, so that is talking about the situation I talked about with my brother. He's in the car and he's overdosed. The Good Samaritan Law is if you take somebody to the hospital and they are in this state, they're overdosing, or they just really don't look good, and you don't know what to do. Good Samaritan Law basically says that, you, even if you had been making the same choices like those kids were in the car with my brother, you will not get in trouble. So you will be able to take them to the hospital and you won't get in trouble with the law, just so that person can get the help. And at the time, they didn't know it, right? So that's an important, very important question to ask, something for people to know, that if you're making the same choices and you're in a situation like I just talked about with my brother, you take somebody to the hospital, then they're not just going to slap cuffs on you and say, we're taking you to jail, because they want to help that person who's going through it. So that's an important question. I'm glad somebody asked that.
There's also just one more question about how do you deal with maybe someone who might be, or maybe talk about your experience and your feelings and your decision making about maybe resentment or about someone who's supplying drugs.
Again, I think it's the same thing, to go back to the why of it. Growing up, I knew people who were using, who were supplying, who were doing it. And there was a few reasons why. A, they thought it was cool. And B, they were making money at the time. So those are the whys right there, right? I think that if you can talk to them, and again, letting them know what can happen. Go back to that other question somebody had asked about making decisions, a friend making choices and helping them, asking the why and letting them know about how this can negatively affect them now and later in their life, what it can lead to. A lot of times when people are, let's say they're selling drugs, like you had just asked, or maybe somebody's making some other unhealthy decisions, at the moment, they don't think that they're going to go down that road. They don't think they will be that person, that it will be them. But that's exactly how it starts. That is exactly what my brother thought. My brother never thought he would go down that road, that he would end up how he ended up. So it's important that you let them know the risks involved now, later, and then talk to them about the why. Like the why is so huge behind just about everything that you do in life, because there's a why behind everything. The choices, the decisions that you make throughout your life. I mean, let's say you want to get fit. Why are you eating what you're eating? Because you want to get fit. Why are you working out? Because you want to get fit. There is a why behind everything. But sometimes we have to sit down and we have to have those conversations with people to, as I said, peel the layers back to get to the real root of it.
Anyone else have any questions for Eric?
Oh, I didn't see those come in.
They were on the Q&A part, so.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
All right, one more chance for questions, anyone?
And please, if you don't feel comfortable asking a question, or even if something comes up later in the day, later in the week, you have my email. It was dropped in the chat. Please use it. A week from now, a month from now, a year from now, I'm a resource that you can always ask me anything that you may be going through or you have concerns about. I'm always here.
All right, thank you everyone so much for attending today. This video will be up on Herren Project's YouTube channel, so you can access it later and rewatch or share with other friends. Eric, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story and talking about making healthy decisions. Everyone, Eric's website and email are over in the chat, so if you want to get in touch with him, that information's over there. And Eric, we thank you for being such a great friend of Herren Project, and we'll see you soon.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate all you guys do. The work you guys do is just it's unbelievable. It's needed, and it's because of organizations like the Herren Project and all they do that this world is just it's a much better place. So I look up to you guys. I look up to what you guys do. You guys motivate me, and so I just want to say thank you for what you guys do.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
All right, you too.